Imagine the year is 325, a time when the world was vastly different, yet on the brink of monumental change. The Roman Empire, once fiercely opposed to Christianity, is now calling upon its Christian leaders for a historic and unprecedented gathering. Bishops from every corner of the empire, some old and weathered by persecution, others young and fervent with new conviction, travel openly to Nicaea, a city in what is now modern-day Turkey. For the first time in history, their journey is public, their expenses generously covered by the Emperor Constantine himself. The roads, once trodden by soldiers, now carry the architects of a burgeoning new faith, a faith that is poised to reshape the world. Nicaea buzzes with anticipation and excitement as men from Egypt, Syria, Persia, Spain, and Gaul converge, many meeting for the very first time. They speak different languages, hail from rural towns and grand cities alike, but all carry the weight and hopes of their community's beliefs. The air is thick with expectation and the promise of change. What unites them all? A single burning question that has ignited their journey. Who is Jesus Christ? Is he truly divine, equal to God the Father, or merely the first and greatest of God's creations? This isn't just a scholarly debate, it's about the very heart of worship and the essence of salvation. The fate of their faith, and indeed the future of the Western world, rests on what transpires within the walls of the imperial palace in Nicaea. The stage is set for a confrontation that will define Christianity for centuries to come. The bishops are not merely debating theology, they are shaping the spiritual and political future of an entire empire. The world is watching with bated breath, and the stakes could not be higher. The journey to Nicaea is more than just a physical one. It marks the beginning of a new era, a new chapter in history. The question of Jesus' identity will change everything, altering the course of history forever. Why does a meeting from 1700 years ago matter today? The Council of Nicaea shaped not just Christianity, but the very fabric of Western history, culture, and law. The Nicene Creed, born from this council, became the foundation of Christian belief for billions. It was the first time leaders from across the Christian world defined their faith together. The council set a precedent for resolving disputes through collective decision-making, a model still used in politics and institutions. It marked the beginning of a complex relationship between church and state, faith and power. Nicaea's story is about the search for truth, the struggle for unity, and the dangers of enforced conformity. Understanding Nicaea helps us grasp the roots of religious conflict and the enduring human quest for certainty. For 3 centuries, Christianity was a persecuted minority, forced to exist in the shadows of the vast Roman Empire. Despite the constant threat of discovery, the faith spread quietly, one household and one whispered prayer at a time, weaving itself into the fabric of Roman society. Christians refused to worship Roman gods or the emperor, a stance seen as dangerous and even treasonous by Roman authorities, who demanded loyalty above all. Persecution was brutal. Arrests, executions, and public spectacles were all used to stamp out the faith, making examples of those who would not conform. Yet the courage and steadfastness of martyrs only strengthened the church's resolve. In secret, the Christian community grew, developing its own leaders, rituals, and traditions, forging a unique identity. Everything changed dramatically when Constantine, after a mysterious vision before a crucial battle, rose to power and legalized Christianity in 313 CE with the Edict of Milan. Suddenly, the church went from persecuted to privileged, able to worship openly and build grand places of gathering for the first time. But with this new freedom came new challenges. Internal theological disputes, once hidden, now erupted into the open, threatening the fragile unity of the church. The most divisive of these was sparked by Arius of Alexandria, who taught that Jesus, though divine, was not equal to God the Father, but a created being, a view that quickly gained followers. This controversial idea spread rapidly, dividing communities and sowing confusion among believers everywhere. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation, one that would determine the very future of Christian belief and doctrine. The question of Jesus' nature was no longer just academic, it now threatened to tear the church apart, risking schism at the heart of the faith. The empire desperately needed unity, and the church needed clear answers to preserve its newfound status and cohesion. Nicaea would provide both, or so it was hoped, as leaders gathered to resolve the crisis once and for all. In a quest for unity across his vast empire, Emperor Constantine summoned every bishop to the city of Nicaea in 325 CE, determined to resolve a crisis threatening to tear the church apart. Over 300 bishops answered the call, gathering in the imperial palace. Many bore the physical scars of past persecutions, reminders of the price they had paid for their faith. Constantine, resplendent in imperial splendor, addressed the council with urgency, urging the bishops to put aside their differences and find lasting harmony for the sake of the empire and the church. At the heart of the council was a fierce debate. Arius, a priest from Alexandria, boldly argued that Jesus was a created being, not eternal, and therefore distinct from God the Father. Opposing him, Bishop Alexander and his passionate deacon Athanasius insisted that Jesus was fully divine, of the very same substance as the Father, eternal, uncreated, and equal. The arguments raged for weeks, growing ever more intense, personal, and passionate. The fate of Christian belief hung in the balance as tempers flared and voices rose. After much heated discussion, the majority of bishops ultimately sided with Athanasius and Alexander, rejecting Arius's teachings. To make their decision unmistakably clear, the council drafted a creed, carefully choosing the word of the same substance to define Jesus' relationship to God, leaving no room for ambiguity. The Nicene Creed boldly declared Jesus, true God from true God, begotten, not made, of one being with the Father, setting a new standard for Christian orthodoxy. Constantine himself endorsed the creed, and nearly all the bishops present signed it, sealing the council's decision with imperial authority. The great debate had found its winner, but the council's resolution was only the beginning of a much larger story. The council's decision would profoundly shape Christian doctrine and influence the church for centuries to come, echoing through history. Yet the unity achieved came at a steep cost. Those who refused to accept the creed were condemned, exiled, or silenced. The lines between orthodoxy and heresy were now sharply drawn, dividing communities and families. The Council of Nicaea marked a turning point, fusing the power of faith with the authority of the Roman Empire in an unprecedented way. Though the church had spoken, the echoes of dissent and controversy would linger for generations, fueling future debates and divisions. The future of Christianity, and the very fabric of the empire, had been forever changed by the decisions made at Nicaea, setting the stage for centuries of transformation. History is more than facts, it's shaped by legends and misunderstandings. One famous story. St. Nicholas, the real-life bishop who inspired Santa Claus, is said to have punched Arius during the council's heated debates. While likely a myth, it captures the passion of the arguments. Another misconception. Nicaea did not decide the books of the Bible. The biblical canon was formed over centuries, not in a single meeting. The council focused on interpreting scripture, not selecting it. Nicaea also set the date for Easter and established rules for church structure. The real drama was about belief, not book lists. The council's legacy is more about defining faith than creating scripture. The Nicene Creed unified Christian doctrine, but at a cost. Defining orthodoxy meant defining heresy. Beliefs now became lines in the sand. Arius and his supporters were exiled, their writings destroyed. Disagreement was no longer tolerated. It became a crime against both church and state. The Arian controversy raged for decades, with exiles and shifting imperial support. The quest for unity introduced new intolerance. Minority opinions were persecuted by fellow Christians. The dream of unity had a dark side. Ultimately, the Nicene position prevailed, shaping Catholic, Orthodox, and most Protestant beliefs. But the legacy is complex. Unity was achieved, but at the price of suppressing dissent. The council fused religious and imperial power, setting a precedent for centuries. The line between insider and outsider, orthodox and heretic, was now sharply drawn. The price of agreement was lasting division. Nicaea's story still resonates today. Every community must define its core beliefs and boundaries. The council's struggle mirrors our own polarized debates. How do we handle deep disagreement? Constantine's use of power to enforce unity is a pattern repeated throughout history. Nicaea reminds us that belief and power are often intertwined. The legend of St. Nicholas's punch is dramatic, but the real lesson is about compassion and the dangers of dehumanizing opponents. The quest for truth must be tempered with empathy. Nicaea's triumphs and tragedies challenge us. Can we hold firm beliefs while respecting those who differ? The story is a mirror for our own search for meaning and unity. The questions they faced are still ours today. Our journey to Nicaea ends, but the questions remain. The council was a pivotal moment, defining faith, shaping history, and casting a long shadow. The debate over a single word changed the world. The Nicene Creed brought unity, but also silenced dissenting voices. History is written by the victors, but we must listen for the voices at the margins. The quest for unity must be balanced with respect for diversity and humility. Nicaea is more than history. It's a mirror for our own search for meaning and truth. The journey for understanding never truly ends.